Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Clemmontime podcast. I am Tyler Clemens. I am hopefully going to be presenting you a little bit better audio this time. Still got some things I'm trying to work out, but for the meantime, I think this is probably going to be the best audio that I put out, and I hope that it is. A little late on posting these videos here. I have not done my picks against the spread against week 2. Told you who I was picking and so on and so forth. And we already know Green Bay put a shellacking on the Commanders. I already went through my picks on that. It was -3.5 Green Bay Packers, and the defense just looks absolutely phenomenal for them. Micah Parsons is getting healthy, really starting to put him out there in more pass rush situations and in just every down situations, not just the pass rush. Packers are going to be a elite team this year. No doubt. You know, they've always been a good team, but I'm expecting them to be even better this year, especially when the defense can get after the other team's quarterback. You know, as a running quarterback, Jaden Daniels, he's in that second year. The second year I talk about, you're going to have a sophomore slump possibly, and he might be having it right now. It's 2 games in. It's hard to tell, and he did get a little banged up in that game. And when I do a second video later, I'll have my picks for week 3. And by then, some of the games will already be played, but I'm a little bit behind. So still want to put my content out there, let you know what I'm picking, how I feel about them, and what to expect. So with that, I actually covered the spread on that, -3.5 Green Bay. They win 27-18. Going into the 1 o'clock slate of games in NFL Week 2, we had Cleveland taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And Cleveland's always got a really good defense. Anytime you got Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball, your quarterback is going to be very, very worrisome of how well my tackle. How's he going to do against this guy? Ravens showed up, showed out, really just covered that -12.5 point spread, which I just thought was too much. I thought Joe Flacco was going to come out and just be a ultimate gunslinger, and he didn't necessarily do that at all. But Joe Flacco is a veteran quarterback. He's going to get you in and out of plays, but he's a gunslinger mentality. He's going to force things that may not need to be forced, and then he's not going to take the chances he needs to. That's just Joe Flacco. But Baltimore just put it on Cleveland, and Derrick Henry did not have the best game either. My wife had him on fantasy, and she was a little upset that he only got her about 2 points at some point in time. And I told her, when your back is 6'2", 6'3", and he is a power back, 250 pounds, not many people want to tackle him, but then teams are going to sell out to just stop him and try to get other people to beat him. And I think that's exactly what the Browns were doing. Derrick Henry finished with 11 carries, 23 yards in that game. So the Browns defense was really just looking to shut them down in the run game. And it just really, to me, seems like the only person catching passes in this Ravens offense is Zay Flowers. 7 catches for 75 yards. So maybe the Ravens offensively don't really have a true identity. You know, they're probably just getting the ball into whoever's hands they can to move the chains, get the first down, score points. I'm sure that's just an easy concept to put in Lamar's hands, or in Lamar's head, and put the ball in his hands to just distribute the ball the best way possible. And Flacco, 25 of 45. He has thrown the ball a lot the last few games. 45 times in 2 games. So that's 90 pass attempts. 90 pass attempts by a 40-plus-year-old quarterback. I don't know how that's affecting him in his recovery stage throughout the week. Is that a factor? What exactly does throwing it 90 times in your first 2 games do for you? But Joe Flacco, they're staying in games. They really have a chance to win these games. I mean, you lose the first week 17-16. You know, how much was that on you? You know, not too much. You had 68.9% completion. You did have the 2 turnovers, so that's something a lot of people are going to look at. These turnovers, you can have them. You need to do better. You need to protect the ball. And throw another interception against Baltimore. 25 of 45, only 199 yards, but that 55.6 pass completion, being a 40-year-old quarterback, been in the league this long. You need to be over 60. Yeah. Honestly, even if you're at 60, they're still going to say you're kind of low. You need to be 63, 64%. And that is an elite quarterback in the league. But you just can't be completing passes for fun, like somebody I know for the Dolphins. So I did not cover that spread. Minus 12.5. Baltimore smokes them 41-17. So I'm 1-1 going into the third game. Next, we have Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And holy crap, Joe Burrow is hurt again. Joe Burrow, hurt again. This is the third time in his career since he's been in the league that he's basically going to miss the rest of the season. Blew his knee out rookie year because his line's terrible. Blew his elbow out or wrist out 2 years ago because he was getting hit. And just got probably the worst possible injury that you can get for your foot, but also for something that has ended people's careers and is going to affect him. He came back from the wrist injury last year, and he told people, specifically told them that I'm not where I want to be. I still have a lot of work to do. I'm still not 100% with my wrist mobility, the strength, and that's a little alarming. He's a young quarterback, and he's going to be dealing. You tear an ACL, you can come back 8-10 months. That's a very normal procedure to have done and be able to come back in a very timely manner. Wrist injuries, ligaments, stuff that's going to deal with flexion, strength, different things. You're not going to come back the same. You're just not. I mean, you may be able to get back to the same strength, but your mental capacity is going to be a little different. You're going to try to think to yourself, am I going to be able to dim that down a little bit? Am I going to be able to perform at the level that I was? Maybe I'm not throwing it as hard. Those things are going to come into fruition for Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, since he's been in the league, has not had a line to protect him. The biggest problem that Joe Burrow has is he is the next David Carr. Andrew Luck. If you don't know who David Carr is, look him up. Sounds familiar? Derek Carr is his younger brother. Had a little bit better career than David. But David was like the first drafted quarterback by the Houston Texans. Is before Matt Schaub, too. He was the first drafted quarterback to come in, and this man was sacked so many times. He had a terrible line. Terrible. And it made him terrible because every time I get the ball, am I looking at the pass rush or am I looking at the coverage? Probably the pass rush because I'm tired of getting smacked every freaking play. Burrow's not going to have a long career if he continues to just take hits after hits after hits. Sometimes you just need one good receiver on your team. You don't need two solid receivers or two number one receivers that you're paying all this money to when only one person can touch the ball at a time. I don't understand teams when they sell out on their offense and there's nothing on the defensive side. You didn't make any improvements, not one. I mean, the Bengals kept Hendrickson, but it's literally just for this year. They didn't do anything to prolong how long he's going to be there. It's literally, we just wanted to pay you enough money to keep you here for this season because we need you. We're screwing around with Shamar Stewart, who's our, was he a first round or second round draft pick, who's holding out because he's not getting contract negotiations with verbiage in there that he wanted, apparently. So Jake Browning comes in second quarter of this game and just takes it over. Yeah, he threw some interceptions and they were bad. If you watch the highlights, they were not good. They were terrible interceptions where the heck are you throwing, Jake? But Jake has moxie. Jake has a gunslinger mentality. And when I say a gunslinger mentality, I mean that he's a guy that's going to keep getting back there and throwing the ball. He does not care about turning the ball over. I mean, he does, but you're not sitting back there like, I'm not going to throw this because I'm scared to throw the pick. No. He's getting back there. He's reading it. He's making his reads, and he's firing the ball in there. You're not aiming the ball. You're trying to run the offense. And I think Cincinnati with Jake Browning might be a little bit better than Joe Burrow. I don't know why. Sometimes coaches seem to coach a little bit better, start to put together a little bit better game plan, then my guy's one of the top quarterbacks. He can get out there and run this offense, regardless of what I call. And teams do that. Don't get me wrong. Teams go out there and they run an offense with an elite quarterback, and then nobody else can come in and do it. It happens all the time. Cincinnati covers that spread -3.5. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-27, and Trevor Lawrence looks really good. But once again, Jacksonville finds a way to lose that game. Brian Thomas, your number one receiver. Apparently, you're playing scared, is what I've heard and read, and that is going to get you less and less targets. That is going to make people not like you. That is going to make people target you and really try to get in your head. So if you're not going to do better and be a number one guy, like Malik Neighbors stepped up this week, and that's the next one we're talking about. The New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys put up 77 points. This was also one of the highest scoring week 2 in NFL history, or it was the highest scoring week 2 in NFL history. The amount of points scored this week, and when you hear some of these scores, I mean, there's a lot of 30s in here, and there's a lot of high mid-20s. That's a lot of points in the NFL. Typically, NFL games are being won like, hey, let's see what was good at 26-21. That seems like a pretty typical NFL score. 20-17, 22-6, 20-19. Those are your typical NFL scores that you want to see. Not this week 2 at all. So I'm really surprised, or I will be surprised how week 3 is going to turn out. The Giants with 37, Dallas Cowboys go to 40, and Brandon Aubrey just brings out the cannon, and he boots in a 64-yarder, just like it'd be a 50-yard field goal 10, 15 years ago. I could remember when you went out, and I'm a Dolphins fan, Alindo Amari would go out and kick 53-yard field goals, and that would seem like that's a long field goal. We got a great field goal kicker on our team, and he's kicking 53-yarders. Now, 60, 61 is fringe, like long distance range now. That is where teams feel comfortable in that 55 to 60 range, which is absolutely insane. But Brandon Aubrey is clutch from 60. Clutch from 60. He's made multiple 60-yard field goals now. And Dallas, hey, the pass rush problem is still showing. Russell Wilson lit them up, throwing his moon ball, threw for 400 yards, almost 500. But the Dallas team just found a way to win. I think Schottenheimer's really got them playing well. I think they really enjoy him. I think the energy's there. And Dallas is a team everybody's going to hate on. It's America's team. Once again, I picked them because that's my wife's team, but I also am trying to pick the spreads to the best of my ability. And I picked them to win by -5.5. They did win, but they did not cover the spread. It was 40-37. And people were talking about, not sure if Russell Wilson's going to be the guy for the future. Dayball was kind of inconsistent on that. Well, guess what? With that 400-yard performance, I think you probably need to keep Russell Wilson in there for as long as you can. I don't think there's a reason to take him out. I think Jackson Dart needs to continue to watch behind Russell Wilson because he's going to do things that young quarterbacks don't typically do. Read the defense, maybe pre-snap things, but also sometimes Russell Wilson's going to force the ball in there just to try to throw the perfect pass. And that's going to be part of the game as a quarterback. We'll move on now. Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears. I thought the Bears would just come out with a little more fight. That was not the case. The Lions were basically trying to go out there and just embarrass Ben Johnson. They put up 52 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a ridiculous game. I believe he had 3 touchdown catches in this. Goff was 23 of 28, had 5 incompletions, 5 touchdowns. A perfect quarterback rating, 156. Sonic and Knuckles, 12 for 94 for Gibbs, 11 for 57 for Montgomery. Both had a touchdown. And here comes Amon-Ra St. Brown. 9 for 115, 3 tutties. Jameson Williams, 2 for 108 and a tutty. Next leading receiver is Isaac Tesla, 1 for 29. And his one catch was this one-hander down the sideline, which everybody's like, oh, you need to pick up Tesla in fantasy. He's good. He's making great catches. One-handed catch does not justify you as a great fantasy player. So if you're looking to pick up Tesla for the one catch, that's all you're going to get, unfortunately. But the Lions were not playing. They were going to make an example out of Ben Johnson and this Bears football team, and they did. They really did. I mean, there was a solid running game for Swift, but when you get into the game and it's at halftime and it's 28-14, you're in it. But then you just let them come out and score 10 more unanswered points. So now you're down 24 super early. And you have a whole quarter left. Lions are still there. They're 1-1. You had a bad week, you had a good week. Things can change. Nobody even knows really what their identity is right now. The only team that's looked really well 2 weeks in a row consistently so far for me has been the Packers, the Indianapolis Colts, and I would have to say Bucks, Eagles, Chargers. So there's 5 teams to me, maybe 5 or 6 teams right now that really have showed up early in this season and given them an identity that maybe people weren't sure of. Bears don't have one. They're still working on that. Caleb Williams is going to be good, though. He's just got some growing pains. He just cannot be doing the run around, trying to make big, explosive plays. I think Ben Johnson needs to get him play calls that's going to get the ball out of his hands, get into your playmakers, and get the most on every play, not the chunk plays. Lions can do that because they're super aggressive. They set things up. And to me, that's super important. I'm going to try to fix this mic so I can adjust myself. All right. Here we go. Lions just completely decimated that spread there. -4.5. They were favored. I went +4.5 on the Bears, thinking they'd keep it close. Not a chance. 52-21. We'll move on to the next one. And my freaking Miami Dolphins just wet the bed, man. Just wet the bed. I pick them every week, and I did not pick them this last game. And if you see this, yes, Thursday Night Football for week 3 is already done. And we're about to do week 3 for Sunday slate of games. And I'll have another video to pick those and maybe the outcome as well, just to kind of speed up this week as I've really been slacking. So doing this thing on the side is not easy, but I got to start somewhere. So hopefully this is going to be a trend that I'll continue to put out content, and never knowing how long they are ever. Last one I did was YouTube Live, and you can go on there and see it. The audio's not the best. So I really hope that things work out well. Using my wife's laptop right now. It says I got 49 minutes remaining on battery. So I'll try to speed this episode up so I can get through everything for you. So Miami Dolphins really just shit the bed against the New England Patriots. Had multiple chances there to win the game. Heck, you even scored to win the game. But Devon A. steps out of bounds. Dolphins just decide that they cannot do anything else. And Tua is completely tunnel visioned. He literally cannot see here or here. He only sees right here. Not kidding. That's pretty much where I think Tua's vision of throwing the ball is. And that's not good at all. Didn't realize that the thing was slightly crooked. Straighten this up. We're centered now. A little bit better. But Dolphins, you start the game slow. Consecutive weeks now. You start super slow on defense. You don't stop anybody. You let them score the first 2 drives. And then finally you start looking like the typical Dolphins team that you look like a few years ago. Start sending guys in motion. You have purpose when you call plays. And before last season, there were so many explosive plays. So many guys would get open and you would throw it predetermined, knowing when you're going to go, just because you got a certain look. And if you keep seeing me look over to this side, it's because football's on. And if you see me look to this side, that's because I'm trying to make sure everything's still going. But once again, I talked about how the Dolphins are going to call the plays with plenty of time in the play clock early in the game. And what happened? When it came down to crunch time, McDaniels just completely screwed this up. And it has to be on him. Because Tua can't talk back, so McDaniel doesn't know if Tua needed him to repeat the play 3 times. And I don't think that's the case. I think McDaniels is sitting there trying to call the best freaking play every time, and I think it is becoming a problem because you don't get out of the huddle in time. You need to have play calls for situational downs, and you need to run with them. You need to have check plays. If you have time to come to get to the line, run your motions, and then see what the defense does, you are bound to have a chance to check out of the play. But when you don't have time, what do? You run a bad play because you didn't want to burn a timeout and you didn't want to take a 5-yard penalty. And late in that game, we didn't want to take a timeout and we took a 5-yard penalty when we didn't need to. And then you come out and get 12 men. 12 men in the freaking huddle after a 5-yard penalty for delay game. How the hell can you not get that straight? How? There's absolutely no excuse for that. No excuse. Every coaching position, every coordinator, they're the ones making the subs in and out. They need to know who went in and who came out. And if you don't, you're failing at your job. I think the Miami Dolphins coaching staff in that Patriots game failed at their job. And I also think your quarterback getting paid $50 million a year is failing at his job too right now. So Dolphins lose that 27-33. It's minus 1.5 on that. Moving on to the next game, San Francisco, New Orleans. Brock Purdy's out. Mac Jones steps in, and Mac Jones, hey, he runs a system there in San Francisco. So if Kyle Shanahan's got somebody in there that knows the system, he's going to call the plays well. That's what happened. We know New Orleans is a bad team. New Orleans is bad. They scored a touchdown late in that game to cut into this to make it 26-21. But San Francisco played that game well and won that game without Brock Purdy. And Mac Jones threw it 39 times. He had a very good game. I think Mac Jones might play himself into a possible starter role. If he continues to play well for San Francisco, they're going to have to look at Brock Purdy. I mean, they did with Trey Lance. You drafted Trey Lance so high in the draft, and then you just dumped him. Paid Brock Purdy, and now he's your guy. And you drafted them so far apart, night and day. And you drafted Trey Lance strictly on potential. Plain and simple. You didn't draft Brock Purdy because he had the biggest arm, because he was 6'1", 210 pounds. No, you didn't. And everybody knows they didn't do that. They thought they were getting probably the next Colin Kaepernick to come in there. And I don't mean to be controversial, Colin Kaepernick, but I mean it as a guy that can run the ball and throw the ball really well. I mean, Brock Purdy's a good thrower. He's not great, but he knows where he's going with the ball, and he knows how to read the defenses, and he's good on timing. So Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, kind of the same guys there. That offense doesn't really change, but possible quarterback controversy coming from San Francisco. Just don't know yet. And New Orleans is just bad. They still have not figured it out. I mean, Spencer Rattler looks a little bit better with Kellen Moore calling plays, but to the aspect of the Saints are a threat, no. But I guarantee, though, they're going to shock a team that's supposed to be a huge favorite. They're going to come out, and they're just going to maul them. I don't know when. They will. I have to check something here because somebody's telling me about my fantasy. I probably just jacked up my whole fantasy. Well, I just jacked that up. So playing fantasy here, I thought I started the Bucks defense, and I did not. So I just got screwed on that. So thanks, Shane, for shooting me that. I'm going to have to go pick up another defense now and drop J.K. Dobbins. Isn't that crazy how this happens? Had a great defense waiting to play. And just absolutely jacked me. But you know what? Fix that just then. Holy cow. I didn't think I'd ever be in the middle of this podcast trying to fix stuff on the spot like that. Sorry, guys. All right, thanks, Shane. Now I can maybe now I'll beat you. I put the 49ers defense in there. Man, that jacked me. All right, let's get back to this podcast. Hopefully this all gets cut. It probably won't. I'll leave it in there. Trying to get through these picks, though. San Francisco, just a good team. Kyle Shanahan there, they're going to beat any bad team out there with whoever they have at quarterback, and that's what happened with the Saints. Buffalo Bills, New York Jets. Buffalo didn't really have a great offensive game at all. I mean, they really ran the ball, but Josh Allen, from his 40-point performance fantasy-wise against the Ravens, Jets really held him in check. Justin Fields, though, did go out of the game. and he's going to miss week 3 with a concussion because of that. But Bills are a good team. They've always been good with Josh Allen. I mean, he doesn't have a true number 1 receiver, but he does make those guys better on offense. And the Jets are going to be a middle of the pack team this year. They might be a losing team, but they're going to be close to the middle of the pack. I did pick the Bills to cover that spread -7.5, and they did me well. So if you're counting, I've only got 3 picks right, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wrong. Going on to Seattle at Pittsburgh. I was thinking that the Pittsburgh Steelers would give Sam Darnold some problems, but Sam Darnold decided that he was going to give the Pittsburgh Steelers problems. And Sam Darnold played his best game after coming off a 140-yard passing game the previous week. He decided that he was going to come out and just try to put it on the Steelers football team. And he did. He did. I'm trying to get you some stats right now to tell you what Darnold was cooking. 22 of 33, 295 yards, 2 tutties, and 2 interceptions. And he got sacked 2 times. So the turnovers is something that Darnold does every now and again. I mean, he had a really good year in Minnesota, but he had some turnovers that made you scratch your head every now and again. Kenneth Walker, he is a man possessed back there. He's one of the top backs in the league. He went 13 carries for 105 yards against the Steelers defense. And the problem with the Steelers defense is that TJ Watt is getting paid all of this money, and through 2 games, he has not 1 sack. Not 1 sack. And you can't have that. You cannot. When you have another guy on the other side, man, Alex Highsmith, who's also a really good pass rusher, and he's got more sacks than you, and there's just 1. You got to do better, man. You cannot be getting paid that kind of money, and you're not impacting the games the way you were impacting games. You're not doing it now. So they're going to have to do better at that if the Steelers want to be competitive, because you have a quarterback now. Aaron Rodgers is there. He's going to keep you in games. And at his age, this man was making some miraculous throws that 25-year-old quarterbacks can't even make. But Steelers went to bet on that 31-17. Seattle puts it on him. Mike McDonald, he's a good coach. He's always going to have a good defense, and they showed against Pittsburgh. Really, really frustrated them. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams at Tennessee Titans. And once again, Cam Ward is just getting killed back there. He's 11 sacks already this year. If you play fantasy and they decide to minus your fantasy points for sacks, Cam Ward had -1 point in his week 1 game. And he got sacked 5 times in his week 2 game, and he only put up 1 fantasy point and -9 fantasy points in the other. Absolutely insane how that could happen. But the Tennessee Titans, they're going to be probably bottom of the barrel team. It's probably going to take a couple years. You're going to get some really top picks, top receivers. The biggest thing that Cam Ward has is his drops by his receivers. And he's okay with that, though. That's what I don't understand. Because he knows he's going to have to come back to them. There's no reason to say, I'm not throwing you the ball anymore. You're my receiver. I got to keep coming to you. I have to. You know, when I played high school, and I played 1 year college at NA high school. I had a receiver who was super talented in high school and kind of did what he wanted, and coaches pretty much let him. I've watched this man walk out of practice and then come back the next day and start. And they told him, if you walk off, you're not playing. He still played, okay? So sometimes you get away with things that most players wouldn't. Like, if I left practice and decided to show up the next day, I probably wouldn't have played. That's just a matter of the fact there. But Calvin Ridley is a top receiver in this league. Yeah, he had 1 year off for the gambling, but he's a top receiver in this league. So you have to keep coming back to him. There's like Jamar Chase 1 year led the league in drops. And if you're on social media, I guarantee you'll see somebody say he's the number 1 receiver in the NFL. Does he have more catches than Justin Jefferson? No. More yards? No. More 1,000-yard seasons? No. So is Jamar Chase the number 1 receiver? He could be tied for it. I don't think he's the true number 1, though. Number 1 guys get the ball every week. They find a way to get open. Jamar Chase isn't doing that. Calvin Ridley is the number one receiver, and he's not doing that. Calvin Ridley, in his 2 games with Cam Ward at quarterback, as soon as I can find his stats here, Cam Ward is keeping them in games, but he's taken 5 sacks. So, really, they called 38 pass plays, and he got sacked 5 times. He threw 1 touchdown, and they're trying to run the ball, but when you're down, you can't run the ball. So then teams know you're going to throw it, and then you start to call deeper pass patterns. And it's going to lead to more sacks. But right now, Calvin Ridley has 7 catches for 84 yards going into week 3 on 14 targets. So he's catching half of them. I had to clear my throat there. Calvin Ridley is so much better than what he plays like. I hate it for him. For Cam Ward, that is. Calvin Ridley he's got to do better. He's got to do better. Matthew Stafford and this Rams offense, they're pretty freaking unstoppable when you got McVay calling the plays offensively. Stafford 23 at 33, 298, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams didn't run the ball as much. That was a little bit of a surprise to me. But when you have the 1 carry for 45 yards for Puka, and then Puka takes it to the house, there's a lot going on there. And look at these 2 guys. Devontae Adams, 6 for 106, and Puka for 8 for 91. Devontae's got him another quarterback that's going to get him the ball. He's one of those guys that has the arm talent. He's going to force it in there sometimes. But Devontae Adams, probably one of the best route runners in the NFL, top 3, gets open, and you can get him the ball. And he rarely drops it. Very excited about this Rams team. I think they're going to be big contenders in the NFC. We're going to go ahead and move down to Carolina. Rams did cover the spread for me. 33-19 was the final. Carolina taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Battle of the Shorties. First time in NFL history, quarterbacks 5'10" played against each other. In that game, we watched the highlights. How many passes did Bryce Young or Kyler Murray have when they took the snap? They dropped right back, read the defense from the pocket, and made a throw over the middle of the field. And when I mean over the middle, I mean between that 10 to 25-yard range. Not a 40-yard bomb over the middle of the field, not a 50-yard bomb over the middle of the field, but curl routes, in-breaking routes, post routes, all in that 15 to 25, 30-yard range. That's the pass that these guys cannot make if they can't see. And there was times where I watched them specifically step out of the pocket so they could see to make a throw. I watched them not make a throw when somebody was open because they couldn't see them. Couldn't tell where they were going to be at. Kyler Murray and Bryce Young, they have the wits, they have the physical attributes to make the throws, but Bryce Young threw it 55 times. 55 times. He was sacked 3 times. They ran the ball 19 times. You go over to the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray threw it 25 times, and as a team, they ran the ball 22 times. Do you know why Marvin Harrison does not more than likely get the ball as much as he should? Because Kyler can't see him. Unless Kyler's rolling to his left, rolling to his right, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a hard time getting the ball thrown to him. He had 116 targets last year, only caught 62 passes. Why? Because how many of them was Kyler Murray forcing over to him because he couldn't see him? And if the noise gets loud enough for teams or for analysts to talk about how much he doesn't get the ball thrown to him, it's going to make you want to force it to him. But Trey McBride, since he's come to this team, he has been an absolute pass-catching tight end out the wazoo. In his first year, not so much. Second year, Kyler Murray and him, 81 catches, 125 yards. Third year, 111 catches, 1,046 yards. This is the catch, though. 147 targets, 111 catches, 1,100 yards. Okay, hang on. 147 for 111. Marvin Harrison had, where's it at? Marvin Harrison had 116 targets, 30 less targets, 40 less catches, or 50 less catches. Make that make sense. That means McBride's the closest guy. Murray's getting him the ball. He can see him. Plain and simple. I think his receivers are always going to struggle because he cannot see his guys. Same thing with Bryce Young. I mean, the coach is doing a really good job calling these plays, but you throw the ball 55 times and you average 6 yards of completion. That's telling me you cannot see your guy. McMillan is a absolutely stud receiver that I did not expect him to come out and be this way. 6 catches, 100 yards, 10 targets, 6 catches. I mean, McMillan is a 6'5" receiver that Bryce Young can see him because he's 6'5". He can see the top of his head possibly over his line. He's projected for 162 targets and 1,400 yards. But right now, he's got 11 catches for 168 after 2 weeks. That is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible for this rookie wide receiver. But I think the Cardinals and the Panthers are going to struggle at their quarterback position. I really do think that wow, this thing is really turned on me. I really do think that the height thing for Murray is an issue. I think that maybe I'll just hold this thing. There's just so many things with these short quarterbacks that is affecting them and that nobody mentions it until broadcasters start calling games and start picking up on that. You're not going to hear about it. But Arizona wins it 29-28. I picked Carolina plus 6.5, so they covered the spread for me. And one of my fourth lonesome wins there on this spreadsheet, maybe 5. Going on to Denver at Indianapolis. I don't even know what to say to that. I think that was terrible officiating. I think the leverage call was so minuscule and bogus that it should not have been called. I think that should have been a clear, hey, that's on the edge. We'll let that one go. It didn't affect it too much. It didn't. The guy just missed the kick. But then you move it up 15 yards and the guy drains it. So a lot of things to think of. Taking a thought of what Denver could have done to win that game. Denver had it. Denver had that game in the bag. And they just wet the bed. I mean, Bo Nix is second-year quarterback. He is older, though, but you're still going to have a sophomore slump. I don't care what anybody says. Bo Nix is going to have a few bad games this year. I'm not saying that was his bad game, but I am saying that if Denver completes some more passes, gets some more time ran off the clock, then they don't give this ball back to the Colts. Bo Nix had the one bad interception. He was 22 of 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the run game was there. J.K. 14 touches, and this thing's about to die. So let me try to get plugged in. Actually, I'm just going to speed through these picks. I'm not going to do that. Philadelphia Eagles, they took on the Kansas City Chiefs. It was 20-17. Kansas City is really struggling right now. So if they don't get things rolling offensively, they are not going to be able to stay in these games the way they are. Their defense is good, but offense has got to get going. They really do. I think Xavier Worthy being out is affecting them more than people expect. And Kelsey, he has to be the guy. Kelsey has to be the guy that is going to get targets. They're going to get the ball thrown to him. You got to find ways to get him open. They did it before, and they got to start doing it again. I did not cover that spread, 20-17. I picked the Chiefs 1.5, and Eagles took that 20-17. Falcons just absolutely decimated the Vikings. They ran it right down their throat. Brian Flores had absolutely not an answer for him. And J.J. McCarthy got hurt. So this week you're going to see Carson Wentz in there. And I think if Carson Wentz plays well, Carson Wentz just starts firing the ball, I think you're going to have some quarterback controversy that maybe J.J. McCarthy needs to sit a little bit longer. It's possible. We don't know. Maybe he needs 3 or 4 years of being polished up like Aaron did. Atlanta Falcons kill me on that one too, 22-6. I picked -4.5 Minnesota Vikings. Last two of the week 2 picks here, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20, Houston Texans 19. And once again, Texans, CJ Stroud, I don't know if he's the guy. I really don't. I think he's a big 6'4" quarterback. Once again, everybody loves the potential. But now he's in his 3rd year and he's not wowing you with anything. And I don't know if it's because they don't have receivers or if they're just not scheming things very well. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers come back and they take that game right out of the hands of the Texans. So now the Texans are 0-2 and the Buccaneers are 2-0 in the season. And Baker Mayfield is that guy. I went Buccaneers plus 1.5. They covered it for me. Last game of the Monday night, Chargers at Vegas. 20-9. Justin Herbert again, just looking like an elite quarterback that proving me wrong. I started this first week out of the season saying that Justin Herbert is everything people want. He's just not performing. Well, he has overplayed and played way better than I thought. But I'm going to get out of here on this one, guys. Thank you for listening. This computer's about to die, and I just want to make sure this gets published. Thanks, guys. Tune in for the next one. I'll have it up today as well. Later.